All right, guys, this is probably my 10th attempt at a flipped lesson using both Cameron and Aaron to help me out. We're going to talk about the Fundamental Five, the formula for quality instruction, which is written by Sean Kane and Mike Laird. This is a really easy thing for me to talk about. I've read the book several times. It's an easy read. And the thing I like most about it is that it really validates what we're already doing in our classrooms. And so I hope that you've enjoyed reading it as much as I have. All right, well, let's get started. So the fundamental five are frame the lesson, work in the power zone, frequent small group purposeful talk about the learning, recognize and reinforce, and write critically. Okay, so we're going to start off with the first fundamental, which is frame the lesson. And when you are framing the lesson, it represents the beginning and end of a lesson. It's a powerful instructional resource, and it states the what and how. So if you're looking at the idea behind frame the lesson, you can really sum it up with 4 words: beginning, end, what, and how. So this is an example of a reading lesson frame, and it is that readers can tell about the problem in a story by recording it in their reader's notebook. So the what is telling about the problem, and the how is recording it in their reader's notebook. And then here's an example of a writing lesson frame. And it states that writers can use the writing process by writing a story and reflecting where they are in the process. So, again, this is giving us the what and how of student learning. Okay, and so this is, I think, the best part of the lesson frame. And so this is going to make it the easiest to remember, is think Oreo. So, one cookie is the concrete, student-friendly learning objective. The second part of the cookie is the closing question, product, or task. And so the feeling is the great instruction that brings it all together. So just kind of connect, frame the lesson and Oreo, and you'll be in good shape. Just realized Aaron was trying to spell Oreo, so thanks for being so clever. All right, the second of the fundamental 5 is working in the power zone. So, the good news, working in the power zone is perhaps the easiest of the F5 practices. So, I know we all like easy. So, this is a good place for us to start. Okay? All right, so when you are working in the power zone, these 3 things happen. Your on-task behaviors increase, your discipline issues decrease, and student retention of the content increases. So again, I mean, that's something I know that each of us want in our classrooms. We want the students doing this so we can get maximum learning. Okay, this is my takeaway. Work in the power zone. The teacher is in the best absolute position to conduct frequent and ongoing formative assessments that allows the teacher to perform adjustments to instruction based on instantly identified student needs. This is definitely one area I can say that we, as a campus, have really grown in the last couple of years. So I really see most of our teachers consistently working in the power zone. And I think it's because we all know that good things happen when you do. Okay. Our next of the fundamental 5 is frequent small group purposeful talk about the learning. And this frequent small group purposeful talking, the structure really consists of 4 things. And it is frequency, group size, the power zone, and seed question. And so the biggest question, why should we? Why should we stop and talk purposefully? And the first one is really allowing to stretch the ideas, the lessons. So we're stretching the rigor and relevance of all that we do. When you are doing this, it naturally allows for differentiation. And it really does connect the learning for some while it simultaneously allows peer tutoring for others. And if we're looking at those four components to the structure, the first is frequency. And so the rule of thumb is to provide talk time after 10 to 12 minutes of teacher talk. And so I know that we have to look at the developmental age of our kiddos and how much teacher talk they can handle. So the rule of thumb is 10 to 12. We really shouldn't extend those minutes at the elementary level. The group size. The best group size, or the optimal group size, are of 2 to 4 students. You obviously need 2 or more to create a group. But really, if you go to 5 or more students, a couple of things can happen. When you're increasing the chances, the opportunities for off-task discussions, and then also the larger the group, you're going to allow some kiddos to naturally not participate in that group discussion. Okay, this one was a big one for me. Seed question. And I've kind of highlighted the word pre-planned to guide student conversations toward learning outcomes. Now, I will say, as a teacher, in doing lesson planning with NALA, our lesson plans looked clearly different. So whenever I was actually entering our lesson plans into Eduphoria, I had very few words, so I just kind of got to the point. Whenever Nala actually put the lesson plans into Eduphoria, she had listed her seed questions. What things were we specifically going to talk about? And so I think this definitely shows the value in pre-planning those seed questions. So yay to Nala for doing that in all those lesson plans, and I'm sorry to you for not doing it when I should have. And then the last component is working in the power zone. So again, it puts you in the best position to ensure that students remain on task and participate in academic discussions. I can say someone that is really good about doing this is Lorraine. Every time I've been into her room and kids are working in groups, she is definitely putting herself in the power zone where she can listen and learn and take in the conversations that her kiddos are participating in. So thank you also to Lorraine for remaining in the power zone. Shout out to Lorraine.
Hooray, hooray.
Hooray, hooray. Okay, so then our fourth is recognize and reinforce. And this is where you make a big deal of the small things. So examples, a low-performing student scores a passing grade on a test. That's a thumbs up. And a student who never turns in an assignment turns in their homework. So that's also a thumbs up. So I hope that Aaron's teachers do a really good job of recognizing when he turns in an assignment and to encourage him to continuously do so on time. Okay. Next one is reinforce the work that it takes to be successful. The big pieces here are personalization and specificity. Allows you to shape the behavior. I will say Mr. Mack, great at personalizing his comments and things to teachers and his notes. I mean, he nails specifically what he's giving that recognition for, so it's not ever a blank recognition. So, and then really this is a critical piece to recognize and reinforce. So, according to Marzano, in Classroom Instruction That Works, the use of effective reinforcement produced between a 20 to 48 percentile gain in student achievement. And that 20 to 48 percentile gain in student achievement is huge. It can be life-changing. It can be passing or failing a course, graduating, not graduating, going to a college of your choice versus not going to college. That is one thing, understanding the percentile gains in certain teaching strategies is a huge thing that I have taken away from my time in working with Dr. Strike. So you really have to look at those strategies that yield the highest percentile gains. So recognize reinforcing. It's an easy thing to do. We need to make sure that we are doing that. And then my takeaway for recognize and reinforce, which states teachers that deliberately engage in the practice of recognition and reinforcement quickly create classroom environments that are nurturing, engaging, empowering to an increased number of students. So these classrooms begin to drive increased student performance because student work and effort are validated and rewarded. So I love that we are creating classroom environments that are nurturing, engaging, and empowering to an increased number of students. Again, you can't ignore the value in recognize and reinforce. Last but not least, write critically, defined as writing for the purpose of, and these are some ideas behind it, organizing, defending, analyzing, connecting, clarifying, refuting, dissecting, and expanding on ideas or concepts. So I never really defined to myself what critical writing meant. So this was a good piece for me to hear. And I think we could probably all recognize that it is the least frequently used of the 5 practices. And I would say this is true to most of us on the classroom level, on the campus level, on the district level, at the state level. So when we say as a campus, we need to be writing more. It's a life skill that we can't negate. When it comes to writing critically in the classrooms, again, we do not do enough of it. A big takeaway from the book. Okay. This is another big takeaway from me. So writing critically. Examples can be a short list, purposeful note-taking, a written exit ticket, a quick summary, a formal essay, or some type of mind map and thinking maps. And so knowing that these are all examples of critical writing were pretty meaningful to me, because I really kind of always considered it some type of thoughtful narrative or expository text. So this was new learning for me, considering it in all these different with these different components. Okay, so writing critically focuses on the word critical, which indicates the intent to distill abstract thoughts into concrete understanding. So that's my takeaway with writing critically. And then write critical. Critical writing allows the teacher to stretch the rigor, and it provides an opportunity to increase the level of relevance. So, again, you absolutely cannot ignore the opportunities that you have for learning when you are stretching the rigor and increasing the level of relevance for our kiddos. So please, write. And this is probably a poster in the making. I haven't decided where I'm going to put it, but I'm sure I will make this as a poster somewhere. But it just states it simply. Write more, remember more. Reading improves. It's a better understanding, which means the kiddos own the learning. So, again, write more equals remembering more, which equals your reading improves, which equals better understanding, which leads to kiddos owning the learning. Again, something we can't ignore. All right, so this is how Fundamental 5 is wrapped up in a very neat bow for me. It is the classroom teacher who focuses on the fundamentals, works at the fundamentals, and executes the fundamentals with increasing frequency and quality that will lead entire classrooms of students to the uncharted territory of sustained, high rigor, high relevance instruction. So, for all of the strategies used in Fundamental 5, independently all are good strategies, but putting them all together really puts it all together. It wraps it up in a neat bow. And so this is where, as classroom teachers, we're going to have to focus on truly executing these 5 fundamentals with fidelity on a consistent, very regular basis.